Hello there, everyone. Welcome here to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph, and I am the host of this show. Anyways, I apologize. Had a problem with the other computer, had been unplugged and wasn't able to turn on. So I have to go to this one, which isn't as good, but still does the job well enough, I guess. So that's why we're late. But anyways, we're here. Cheers. So welcome to the Prog Monster. My name is Murph. I'm the host of this show. And tonight's show is Into the Progverse, and we will be talking about the albums released in progressive rock albums released in 1972. So we'll talk about each of the ones I have here in the stack. There are 10 altogether, I believe. Yep, 10. And then I got another 12 or so of ones that I've wanted to have or look to have or trying to have, whatever you want to call it. And that's why and so we'll be talking a little bit about them as well. So the first one up, you know what, I think the other computer's ready. I think we're going to go to it. Just give me a second. Come on. Now we are on. See if it'll go. Because the problem with this one is that it doesn't have the mic, and the mic is important to this. Let's see if we can get her in YouTube. Might not be able to because I may have stolen it here. We're going to switch. Okay, we're back now. I wasn't sure the other computer was going to be strong enough, but it's plugged back in, so it seems to be good. Okay, my apologies for the nonsense tonight. But anyways, we're back to where we were. So I'm going to be talking about these 10 albums that I own and then some more that I don't own that I've been looking to own. So the first one we'll go with is, actually, I think we'll do it. I'm just going to do this in the order of, kind of in a more orderly fashion that's released. So the first one we're going to talk about is this one from Jethro Tull, Thick as a Brick. This kind of a tongue-in-cheek album to start out. They made this album as a kind of joke about the length of some progressive rock albums being ridiculously long. So then they made one that was both sides, one song. And it turned out to be a very fantastically good album. So you've got one track on two sides of an album, Thick as a Brick and Thick as a Brick 2. And then this particular one, it also gets the interview with Ian Anderson, Martin Barr, and Jeffrey Hammond. Yeah, so strong album, I think. One of for the progressive elements of Jethro Tull, this is probably the strongest of their albums. Just fantastically well put together album. Like I said, supposed to be a kind of a joke album, but turned out to be the best, one of the best albums of all time. The next up we're going to do is from Gentle Giant, Three Friends. So this was my introduction to Gentle Giant, and there's a picture of them there. But I didn't take well to this album when I got it back in I think it was in 83. I got this album, or 82, one of those years, and I tried to get into it and I just couldn't digest it, and I just thought, this is kind of cheap. I don't really like this album. Doesn't sound good. Doesn't, there's a lot of reasons I had, but none of which stood the test of time. I'm glad to say. Anyways, I started to really like this a lot now. The song on this album I probably like the most is Peel the Paint, but I think that's probably the favorite of most people on this album. Really strong song. School Days is good. Prologue. The whole album is fantastic. Three Friends, the last track. Yeah, just 6 tracks all together. It's one of the albums with probably has the longest tracks of any album of their albums. Anyways, Three Friends. This is released early in the year, 1972 year. Their third album, which features the three brothers, Phil, Ray, Derek Shulman, Kerry Minier, Gary Green, and Martin Mortimer, I believe it was. Malcolm Mortimer. Was it Malcolm? I believe Malcolm is the guy on this one. The drummers always confused me on the earlier albums because there was 3 of them. I believe this one is Malcolm Mortimer. Yep, Malcolm Mortimer on drums. I think he was on the second and third album, and then got replaced by John Weathers. The next album up is another really good one, but for some reason I haven't really taken to this very well. Although I think if I gave it more of a chance, it probably would do well with me. This is Demons and Wizards from Uriah Heep. And then in this case, it's a booklet for me. Lots of pages of lots of stuff. And then you have the little disc here in the booklet. Yeah. So Uriah Heep's Demons and Wizards. I got this some time ago now. I want to say maybe 3.5 years, or maybe 4 years ago. And I never really quite warmed up to it, or the other one that came out the next year. But I think now that I've had some more getting used to them, I have now about 7 or 8 of their albums, and now that I'm a little bit more used to it, I think this might do better. So I probably will give it another chance at some point. So Demons and Wizards from Uriah Heep. Now, is this their third album? I believe it is. There you go. Next up, we have Pink Floyd's Obscured by Clouds. So this is actually a movie soundtrack. There's a picture of them here. I don't think this is actually them. I don't know who these guys are. It doesn't look like them anyways. Probably people from the movie then, I would assume. Yep. So this, like I said, this was a movie soundtrack. I'm going to take out the booklet, but it's a good one. A shot of them here. Anyways, this is it's a little bit choppy at times. A little bit choppy because the songs are playing to the movie soundtrack, but I think there's some really good stuff on this album. To me, it's an underrated Pink Floyd album, and definitely deserves to be talked more about. So as you can see, it's kind of obscured. So Obscured by Clouds, Pink Floyd. Another album. This is a Jethro Tull album as well. Oh, hey, Vaughn. Welcome to the show. This one is what they would call a somewhat greatest hits. So it's a collection of B-sides, songs that were left off other albums, some songs that were on other albums, and just a collection of a bunch of different stuff. But really good. It's a really solid album I don't really think of it as a studio album, but it does have a lot of stuff on here that doesn't appear on other stuff on other albums as well. And my favorite Jethro Tull song is on this album, which is Life is a Long Song. But you got all kinds of different things on here. But you do have like Witch's Promises on here, Sweet Dream, Song for Jeffrey, Locomotive Breath. Yeah, there's a lot of really strong stuff on here. It came out later in the year after Thick as a Brick, kind of, I guess, as a means to try and collect as many people as they can get. Yeah, Living in the Past, fantastic album. I didn't actually own this album on vinyl ever at any point. I had a greatest hits masters re-release of a bunch of the similar tracks that are on here, plus stuff from other albums. So that's why I kind of became familiar with the album, and then of course I had to have it. Next up is a band that I don't really follow, but for some crazy reason I have the first 3 studio albums. So we're talking about Trilogy. I kept buying their stuff because I'm hoping that one day I will all of a sudden click. The band will click and then I'll love them. That's what I'm hoping. So this is Trilogy. This is their 3rd studio album, I believe. Released, of course, in 1972 as well. This produced by Greg Lake, arranged by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. All the lyrics are also by Greg Lake, but I don't know too much about it other than I do like this cover. It's a nice kind of painting cover of the 3 members. Nice shot there of them too. The funny part is that I never really liked. The funny part is I never liked Carl Palmer much, and I was kind of indifferent to Keith Emerson, but I absolutely adore the sound of Greg Lake's voice, and I like his stuff a lot. He was always my favorite member by a mile. I didn't really like the band, but I did like that particular member of the band. So yeah. So this is an album that hopefully at some point I'll get into these guys. It seems like I should be, since I like Greenslade, and it seems like very similar, both keyboard dominated music. You think if I like one, I would probably like the other, but that doesn't always seem to work out with me. Next up is from Yes, Close to the Edge. Many consider this to be the magnus opus of all progressive rock albums, the very best, the cream of the crop, whatever you want to call it, the top of the rung, the top of the hill album. I think it's definitely Yes's best album. Whether it's the actual very best progressive rock album ever released, I don't know. It's a matter of opinion, really. But this one is an absolute masterpiece album for sure. Some people have not really taken very well to the cover. I don't mind it. It kind of gives it that kind of eerie feeling to me, which I like. Lost in the Mist of Time. I do like this back picture as well of the members of the band. A lot of people thought this would have made a better cover to this album. It is quite good. It's kind of weird that it's a waterfalls kind of thing with no starting point. It's kind of different. But the three songs on here are absolutely among Yes's very best songs. All three of them for me would make my top 10 Yes songs of all time, for sure. Absolutely. Close to the Edge, probably my favorite of the three. But I do like the other two quite a bit too, And You and I and the Siberian Katru. Yeah, all three of these songs fantastic. The instrumentation on here is fantastic. The vocals are great. The lyrics are great. And the lyrics are kind of weird, but they're still pretty good. And there's just so many good things about this album that it would be difficult to find anything that wasn't great about it. So yeah, Close to the Edge from Yes. Next up, I'm going to go with Foxtrot from Genesis. I always kind of like this album cover too, but I do like all of the album covers from this artist. All three of them among my favorite Genesis covers. This one actually is probably my third favorite, although it's very good. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that shark, but yeah, fantastic cover and so absolutely perfect. The cover is actually perfect for the way the album sounds too. Some people say this is Genesis' best album. You could say that about any of the ones in this time period, really. But I always like this. There's a couple of deep tracks on this album that really have always caught my attention, which is Can Utility and the Coastliners. And You Get 'Em Out by Friday, both are really good. Now, Horizons, even though it's just a little acoustic part, is really memorable. To me, I don't see how you could do Supper's Ready without having that piece at the beginning. They sound like they belong together. Hey, welcome, Strange Gunwald. Welcome to the show today. Haven't seen you for a while. Nice to have you back. Yes, I do like the artwork, and that's the biggest thing. One of the biggest things about progressive rock, the artwork, like the heavy metal artwork, tends to be amongst the best. Yeah, and this one with its Suppers Ready and Watchers of the Sky, bookending the album, are fantastic. But I do like the stuff in the middle quite a bit. This is definitely one of Genesis' best albums. Next up is a band that I love. The first four albums are really good. The first three of those four I've listened extensively to and love them. This one's probably my favorite, but not necessarily. Tab in the Ocean from Nectar. Again, some absolutely science fiction like cover of the album, and the back part too also comes with a couple of pictures of the group members. It's a fold out. This is a fold out thing for me. It also has the two discs in there, so you got both versions of the album, the original version of the album on this, and you have the US release version that came out 4 years later. Oh, welcome to the show, Pikers. Pikers, is that how you want to pronounce? Yeah, this is a band that if you haven't had any kind of involvement with them and you like progressive rock, you gotta give these guys a strong listen to. They take a while to get into their music, but once you get into it, you'll love it. I absolutely love them. This album and the first one, pretty heavy albums. This one's actually, I think, the heaviest of all their albums. Although, you can go even up to Remember the Future is pretty heavy album too. They're all pretty heavy albums. I can see why bands like Iron Maiden copied King of Twilight and stuff like that. Why they decide to cover it, because it's a heavy stuff, man. Really good. And this album has, like I said, two versions: the original version mix, and then the 76 US mix, because the album wasn't released here in the it wasn't released in the United States, and initially it took about 4 years before they got to that. But this is really good, and I like this little kind of cover part here at the back, kind of H.G. Wells type thing going on there. Picris, okay, I'll keep that in mind. Yes, most progressive rock bands, in my opinion, take some time to acquire a taste for. Very few of them have I ever really gotten into immediately and liked right away. In fact, I'm hard pressed to think of a single one that I liked even initially. Every single band that is my favorite band, well, maybe Rush is a bit of an exception. I did like them initially, but I never followed them for the first 3 or 4 years, or first 3 years that I had heard of them for sure. But I did take a while. It took a while to get into even them. But most of the other stuff, yes, Genesis may be a little bit different too. I did initially like them right away too. But yes, I didn't initially like right away. Um, Jethro Tull, definitely I didn't like right away. Pink Floyd took me 20 years to even listen to a second album because I really did not like The Wall and couldn't see any future for me in listening to them. Yeah, I tried Vandergraaf Generator. I do have a couple of their albums here. I picked the two ones I thought that I would like, and I just can't get past the guy's voice. It's been like it's just grates on my skin. Yeah, I just for some reason I didn't take very well to The Wall. The Wall was an album that came out right when I started high school, and I didn't like it, and then I thought it was over overplayed. Wasn't that great? I didn't think the instrumentation was that great. Thought it kind of poppy sounding, and people were playing it all the time, which kind of got on my nerves. So that set Pink Floyd back for me for a long time. Okay, I'll try to give a look into the show when I get a chance. I'll look up your channel and try to save it so it remembers. I'll try to show up for it. And then the last one in my stack is this one from Gentle Giant, the second album in the same year. Same group of guys. I believe everybody's on here. I don't think there was the only change I think could have been on there, and it's not going to tell me. Might tell me on the other one is I can't remember if they switched out drummers. I'm looking here. It is here. It is. Kerry Minier, Ray Shulman, Gary Green, Derek Shulman, Phil Shulman, and John Weathers. So John came on board on this album. I wasn't sure. I thought he was, but I wasn't 100% sure. This is a great album. It's in my playlist for pretty close to a year or two. It's fantastic. I don't know if it's my favorite one. Those first four albums are just hairs apart. I love them all. And this one, no different. This one, The Rocketeur at Troubadour, fantastic song. Knots is really good too. Um, Advent of Panurge, these are all great tunes. There's just no really bad stuff on this album. I have two versions of it too because I couldn't find the Red Octopus one initially, so I bought the other one. It's Murph, like short for Murphy. That's my name. Yes, Gentle Giant. Yes, I had a hard time with Gentle Giant too, even though I owned the original. Originally, I owned Three Friends in vinyl, and I tried because my friend kept telling me these are one of the great progressive rock bands, and I tried and tried and tried, and it just nothing. Eventually, I just gave up on it and figured that I was never going to get into that band until I started this channel, and then everybody was talking about them, so I gave it another shot. Only this time I picked a different album and I entered through acquiring the taste, which for some reason it took a while. It was had in my playlist, and I just kept saying I'm just going to keep it in here until I like it. That was my story, and I was going to stick to it. And it was in my playlist for a good 5 months, and I was getting ready to pull it, and then all of a sudden, kind of the same thing. It was kind of the same thing with the Doors, even though they're not a progressive band. 40 years of not wanting having anything to do with them, and then bang, all of a sudden I like them. Yes, I've heard of Captain Beyond. I've not bought the album. This is one of those albums. I've seen it around. I've seen it in the used bin. I've seen it around. I just keep. I'll get there and I'll say, well, I got to get this one. I got to get that one. I want to get this one. I want to get that one. And I'll see it and say, well, I should get it, but I don't have enough for it. So I'll just leave it till next time. I keep doing that with it, but eventually I know I'm going to get it. Yeah, I've heard it. It's really good. I've actually listened to the album online because I believe in one of those Battle of the Band type things that Ben gave me. I think this was one of the albums that we had on that, and I liked it. I just didn't. It didn't. I didn't initially like it. It took me a bit. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about some of these other albums that I don't own that I want to own or I've looked for, and it's either one of two things: either the store hasn't had it, or it's been too pricey. Those are always the two things that people takes a while to get both of those things in a spot where it makes sense to go ahead and get it. So one of the albums was Matching Mold, their self-titled debut. This is a band that have kind of interested me. I don't know much about them, other than I saw one of their albums at the store and I was looking at it and then decided to pass on it because I didn't know much about it. So, and then it came up again today. So I keep saying, you know what, must be coming up for a reason. So let me go check it out. And I probably will check it out eventually during the week. I'm thinking about it. Another album that, another band, and this particular album I'm not as familiar with. It's called Phantasmaglory from Curved Air. This is another band that Ben gave me to look into. I never really went and looked too closely at it. Yeah, I don't know why Three Friends was the first album that I got. I guess I could have went with any of them. There was maybe a couple in the bin, but for some reason, it had this picture on the back of it. I think that's what intrigued me. See if I can find it here. It's down near the bottom here. So, of course, it had this on it, which was interesting. But it was this kind of. I said, yeah, this looks like something I could listen to. So that's why I bought this one over any of the other ones. Yeah, that's sometimes I buy what they call blind buys, where I'll just see an album cover that I don't know anything about. I did that actually on my last list. There was one that I bought. They were called 10,000. 10,000, I think. It turned out they're a metal band, but the album cover was fantastic. So I bought it, but it was $1 or something. So I said, yeah, I'll get that one. So back to this Curved Air. Yeah, this is the band that Ben gave me. He didn't give me this particular album, but I was interested in this band and still am. So I don't know too much about them other than what I've heard a little bit of, but nothing much. The next one is a band that I kind of put off. I'm not sure why. I had choices between this and Camel. There was 3 or 4 albums in the bin, and I had enough money for the Camel one, but I didn't have enough for this one, which is Caravan. Um, and the particular album that came out this year was called Water Lily. So I tried listening to their stuff. I went through a little bit of a listening spree where I went through about their first 4 or 5 albums, including The Land of Grey and Pink. And then I decided I wasn't going to buy them because I was having a hard time absorbing anything they were doing, so I let it go. And then I saw The Land of Grey and Pink, which is absolutely one of the best album covers out there. And it's not a 1972 release, but I thought, I'll buy that one. And I bought it. And again, it was in my playlist for a good 3-4 months before it took off. Now I love it. And this is a band that I absolutely want to buy everything of. There's this next band is called Con Space Shanty. I think this is their only album. I've seen this. I haven't seen the album, but I've seen this online. People talk about this online a few different places, but I never really went and saw it anywhere at the store. It's definitely an album I think I would buy if I did see it, but you just never see it. It's a rarity, I think. Space Shanty by Khan. Next one up is called Zayat. You tell me how it's pronounced. From Tangerine Dream. This is their 3rd studio album. Now, I do like Tangerine Dream. I have maybe 2 or 3 of their albums. They have a horde of albums, like more than, maybe almost as many or more than Rick Wakeman, which is hard to believe, but they have somewhere in the 80 to 90 studio albums. At one point, I think in the 90s, they were releasing like 4 a year, 4 studio albums a year. But this one was one of the earlier ones from 1972. I think it's actually considered their 3rd studio album. Next is Soft Machine. So I have 2 Soft Machines. I have their debut and number 6, which I haven't had a chance to listen to yet. This is number 5. So people tell me the first 3 are progressive, and then after that, they're not as progressive anymore. They're different. So I don't know much about their discography other than the one that I played in my playlist, which was their debut. Next up, I decided that I would talk a little bit about Frank Zappa. Waki Jawaki. I picked one of the 2. There's another one released this year too. I don't follow Frank Zappa. He's a little bit different for me. Maybe too different. And there's a lot of kind of jazzy, bluesy kind of strange elements to his music that don't really interest me. There's some other stuff that he does I think is pretty interesting, but for whatever reason, I've never really followed Zappa. I suspect once I start running out of stuff to buy that I will start to explore his discography as well. There's been like 3 or 4 of them that have been recommended to me. So this one that's released, the Waki Jawaka, was one of the ones that people have told me I should try if I like this kind of music. Yeah, I like that first Soft Machine album. It's very kind of psychedelic, but it definitely has a progressive sound to it. It's very different. It's a little bit heavier than I thought it was going to be as well. So I did buy a 6, which I saw on sale, so I thought I would grab it. But this one, number 5, is that kind of red cover to it with a face on it. Next up is the Moody Blues, who's a band that I've started to explore. I do have a couple of their albums now. This one I don't know, 7th Sojourn. I'm assuming that it's a 70s release. Another thing that kind of stopped me from the Moody Blues, yes, most prog music kind of originated or was grounded in psychedelia music, and that's perhaps the reason I like it. But so is jazz fusion, but I don't really like jazz fusion. It's not that I hate it. There's a couple albums in that genre that I own that I think you have to own, because they're both good, but I don't really listen to it that much. Anyways, the Moody Blues, Seventh Sondern. This is a strong. I've listened to this album once and I liked it. Definitely a band that I probably will do more exploration on. I kind of started getting into them in the last 5 or 6 months, but for years I ignored this band like the plague. I just didn't. And people would say, "Why are you ignoring them? They're progressive." But I didn't see it. I didn't see them as progressive, so I just kind of ignored them. But that's starting to change. Another band that I've started to get into with this particular album, Prologue being the one that I would like to get next, because I have the first one, the debut album from Renaissance. The first album is very kind of medieval, kind of classical sounding, but with some really good vocal parts and stuff on it. This was pre Annie Haslin, so they had a different vocalist, but I still thought she was pretty damn good. So that's a band that I'll be exploring. And this is the album I would like to get. So it came out in 72 as well. Then, of course, we get to Hawkwind. Now, this is the big catch for me. Do Re Mi Fa Sol La Ti Do, their third studio album. I have their second one. I'd like to get the first 5 for certain, because I think all 5 of them initial ones, their debut, the second one, this one, and the Hall of the Mountain Grill and Warrior at the Edge of Time are all, to me, these top page albums. I mean, it's more, the last 2 are more kind of space rock, but the first 3 are good. They get a lot of different stuff going on the 3 of them. All good albums, though. Another band that I wrote down here that I've listened to only once for a challenge, and it was Beggar's Opera. And the album that they gave me, or the album that came out this year, is Pathfinder. So this is a band that interests me too. Again, difficult to find their albums. This is common because a lot of these bands didn't have great sales. They didn't sell a ton of albums, so there's not going to be as many albums out there, at least in the used bin, that are available. And this was one of those bands that I'd love to have this album. I actually look for this album all the time, stuff from Beggar's Opera. And then the last kind of one that I'm going to mention here is Flash. And they've had 2 albums released this year, the first and second album. I think that's the only albums they have. They may have a third one, but I'm not 100% sure. Flash, and the self-titled debut album, Flash, and then the second one, Flash in the Can, which is their second one. So for people who don't know who Flash is, they are basically Peter Banks albums. It's a band that when he left Yes, he went and formed this band. I believe that's how it happened. And a good guitar player, I think. Overshadowed by Steve Howe, I think, but still a very good guitar player. I don't think you could be in a band like Yes and not be at least good at what you're doing. Anyways, those are the ones that I would like to get. There's probably others on the list that came out this year that I don't know much about, or I haven't heard much about, or I haven't heard anything of, so I kind of left them off. I guess I could have thrown in the other Frank Zappa album as well. These are all albums that interest me, but some of them, they interest me to the point of exploring them. Some I would love to have. So, but you can only buy what you can afford to buy, right? If I bought everything I wanted, I would probably be bankrupt. Yeah, I've never really gotten into Italian prog. I am aware of quite a few of the Italian prog bands, but I don't know what it is. I just have never really gone into that direction. There's a couple of bands in the Italian prog community that I have listened to and kind of like. There's some stuff in the European prog bands, some Yugoslavian stuff. I think there's a couple of I think there's at least one Serbian band that I like too, and some Spanish stuff as well. But I haven't really. They're difficult to find domestically. You have to actually kind of look them up and order them online because most of the European prog stuff just never really sailed over here. So if I want to buy it, I gotta buy it online or get the guy to order it, which is they're pricey. So the only one I've ordered that way through them was the an Amorphous Androgynous album with Peter Hamill on it. I don't even know why I did it because I don't like Peter Hamill at all. But I had listened to the album and it was recommended by Ken Golem. So I listened to it and I thought, it doesn't really sound that bad on here. Well, I was wondering what were they doing that was making his voice not as bad as what I remember it being. And I think they just kind of kept it a little bit lower in the mix. That's the only thing I can think of. Yeah, so some of this Italian prog is definitely stuff that I will probably eventually get to explore. But yeah, is Goblin Italian prog? I'm not sure. I don't know if they are or not. I think some of the stuff is just like stuff that I've heard online. I don't really pay too close attention to it because you can only listen to so many bands, and I prefer to concentrate on the ones I'm trying to buy up now, and then maybe explore the other stuff once I get enough of the stuff I like. Yeah, I didn't. I wasn't sure if they were Italian or not. Apparently they are. I have heard these guys Goblin. They're one of the Italian prog bands I've heard. The problem with a lot of the Italian prog bands, I think, is the same as some of the other European ones, is that they're primarily all instrumental bands, and I definitely like vocals on my music. I'm a vocal guy. I took vocal music lessons when I was younger. I took guitar as well, but I didn't really stick too much with the guitar, but the vocal I did. So I do have a bit of a background in vocal music, not a huge amount, not enough to make me an expert in anything, but I prefer vocal music because of that. Some people really like their instrumental prog. I get that. I'm just not one of those people. Like there's some bands that, like a good example is the Snow Goose album from Camel. I like it, but it's not one I go back to much because there's no vocals on it. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. See, I don't even actually, even though I brought out Demons and Wizards, which I think is of as a prog band, prog album, I don't really think of Uriah Heep as a prog band. To me, they're a hard rock band. They fit better in with Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, in that group. I think they belong more in that group than they do in the prog band group. Although I do come in. Even Styx has a bit of a prog element to the music, but I think of them as being more of a hard rock band too. So those are the albums that these are the ones I actually own. In case you came in late and didn't see what I had, I will give you just a quick overview of them. So we've got Gentle Giants, Three Friends, and Octopus. I actually have this twice. I have the original version too. Nectar's Tab in the Ocean, fantastic band. Foxtrot from Genesis. Yes is Close to the Edge. ELP's trilogy, although I think I've probably listened to this once. Not a big fan of ELP, but I do love Greg Lake's voice. So Jethro Tull's Living in the Past, even though it's not really a studio album, it still has a lot of great stuff on it. The Obscured by Clouds from Pink Floyd. This is a movie score, but still really good. Demons and Wizards from Uriah Heep. This was the first Uriah Heep album I bought based on what people told me I would like. I didn't really warm up to this, but I have warmed up to some of their other stuff. and Thick as a Brick, of course, which is kind of one of those epic length albums, maybe the kind of prototype for a lot of these newer bands that put out album sides and full album stuff like that. Just a fantastic album. Yes, some of these earlier progressive bands, especially Gentle Giant, um, the Three Friends album cover is actually identical to their debut album. I guess they couldn't find a different cover, so they used the same one. The only difference on the two albums is that with the debut, with the Three Friends, it has Three Friends written on it, and the only other difference is that the Giant on the original album has dark, kind of brownish hair, where on Three Friends he's kind of blonde. Maybe you got a dye job. I guess that was their attempt to try and make it look different than it was. So, but every album after Three Friends, all the album covers after Three Friends are all good, really good. Just that those. The only problem with Three Friends is that it's a carbon copy of their debut. Now there are other covers of both Octopus and Three Friends out there. I have not actually seen the cover of the other Three Friends album, but I have seen and own the original cover from Octopus, which is an octopus in a canning jar. It actually it's a good cover. It's a very good cover, but I don't think it is in the same league as this cover, which is quite one of the best ones. So this is actually a Roger Dean cover too. So that would explain why it's so much better. So my favorite covers, progressive rock covers, are from Roger Dean, are the ones on Green Slate. They're all really good too. But Green Slate was this was pre Green Slate this month. So next week we will be doing. We're gonna skip over 1973 only because I'm doing a monthly series on 1973. So I don't want to cross and kind of burn myself a bit there. So we'll be going to 1974, and I was going to do. I've done 70, 71. This is 72. We were going to do 74, 75, and then stop there. But I may go and do 76 and 77 as well. Kind of encompasses almost all of that progressive rock, early progressive rock era. I think you can add those 2 years and still have quite a bit of really good progressive rock from those 2 years, 76 and 77. And then we'll come up with a different topic after that. But I thought this is a good way to really get myself introduced to a lot of these early progressive rock albums and stuff that I really haven't explored yet. I'm not really into Porcupine Tree. Having said that, they do have some good stuff. I just have never really followed them too closely yet. I kind of like the Steven. I know this is kind of strange, but I kind of like the Steven Wilson solo stuff better. I haven't gotten any yet, but I whenever I'm listening to stuff online and that comes up, I tend to like his solo stuff a little bit more. Maybe it's just I never entered. I've got 2 or 3 Porcupine Tree albums. See if I can see any of them from here. No, I can't see them, but I've got 2 or 3 of them. Actually, I can see them. Pull the one out. I'll pull this one out. So this is the one that I've had in my playlist. Didn't do tremendously great, but I kind of liked it a bit. Light Bulb Sun. That's this one. It's actually kind of an interesting album cover. picture of the guys. I don't know why. I just never kind of warmed up to them too much yet. I can't say I dislike them. They just haven't overwhelmed me at this point in time. Maybe they will eventually. I'll just leave that there for now. So those are the and I have this one too. Sorry, I actually have this one twice. I don't know how that happened. On Sunday's Life, on the Sunday of Life, I have this twice. So I think somebody gave me one for a present, and I had and didn't realize that that's what they gave me, and I went out and bought it. So I ended up with it twice. So it's over here because I have a couple of albums that I have doubles of that I'm gonna try trade in and see if I can get something else for them. So yeah, those are my involvements with Porcupine Tree. I did listen to Spock's Beard for the kind of the first real listen on the new album that came out this year. The problem I have with Spock's Beard is that it's very reminiscent of Kansas, which is a band I don't really follow. I know people think that if you follow Styx, why wouldn't you follow Kansas? Well, to me, they don't sound really anything alike. They do have some similarities, but they're just miles apart, in my opinion. So that's my collection for today. Yes, I love Styx too, except for that 90s period where they kind of went in the tank. I don't really like anything after the Mr. Roboto, when they came out with the Mr. Roboto album. I don't even know the name of it. There was that one. And then I think it's End of the Century is the worst Styx album out there. I don't like that at all. So anything between those two, not a big fan of that stuff. After once Dennis left the band and they got Lawrence Gowan in the band. Yeah, Kilroy was here. That's it. That's the name of the album. So once Dennis left the band and they got Gowan, I started listening to them a little more after that. But the first couple that he was with, they were okay. I didn't mind them. But the last three albums they put out have been very strong, especially the middle of the three, the Crash of the Crown. That is as good an album as anything Styx has ever done, in my opinion. Yeah, I think it would be a perfect album to put out in the 70s. Just so good, such a good album. I just wish JY would sing more, but I guess he's kind of I think his voice is kind of gone. He's also a bit older. Like he's pushing late 70s now. And he didn't even sing at all on this last album and didn't write anything. And I don't even know how much he did at all on the album. The other guy seems to have come on and become next to Tommy Shaw. The two of them were the dominant factors on the album. And I think that guy's a great musician, has a great voice, but he doesn't really have a Styx-like voice. So I don't know. It kind of made this last album a bit hard for me. If I'm trying to listen to it as if it isn't a Styx album and see if it has a different impact on me. But even Gowan didn't sing as much on this last album as he's done in the past. So you basically got Tommy and the new guy kind of dominating all the writing and music on this album. And although Tommy still sounds great, and this guy sounds good, but he just doesn't sound like, he doesn't have a Styx-like voice, where at least Gowan had a Styx-like voice to me, right? Yeah, for most people, Pikers, that is the album that people love by Styx, The Grand Illusion. Unfortunately for me, they play Come Sail Away and The Grand Illusion on the playlist in the at work. The guy has a continuous playlist that he's been playing for 2 years without break. There's like about 100 songs on this playlist, and 2 of them are Styx songs, and they pretty much killed my interest in that album. Yeah, that you're right. It sucks. So I try to stay away when they once they put the playlist on during the day, so I don't have to listen to it, because it's just the same stuff over and over and over. Like I probably have heard Crazy Train 50 times a week for the past 2 years. I don't ever want to hear it again. So I kind of zone it out when I have to go through the through the display area, because that's where it's played. It's played up front in the whatever they call it. Can't even think of it. Yeah, I don't know this band, Freaky Turtles, dudes. This is the first I've ever heard of them. I don't know who they are. 60s pop. Yeah, there's a ton of the Turtles. Okay. Okay, now I know that. I thought there was a different band called the Freaky Turtles, dude. I do like quite a bit of the 60s stuff. Mostly lean towards the psychedelic stuff, but I do like some of the heavier pop, like the Stones. There's a few other bands that get in there too. I am doing a review this week of a new album that's come out from a band that's very AC/DC sounding. See if I have to find my notes. I'll tell you who it is. Here's my notes. Yeah, so the one I'm doing is called Bullet. The band's called Bullet, and the album is called Kickstarter. This is an AC/DC cover band. Well, I don't know if they're a cover band. They don't do any AC/DC music, but they sound like AC/DC so much. Yeah, so I'm going to be doing them. And the other one that I'm doing this week is Starset, which is their album Silos. I don't know much about this. Listen to bits and pieces of it. But so I decided I would try that one for my new Prog albums released. Oh, okay. I like the Proto Metal Iron. I like the Iron Butterfly stuff. I like Iron Maiden stuff too. For some odd reason, I don't really care much for most of the progressive metal stuff. Like there's one album that I have now called Syrinx, and it's kind of progressive metal. It's got a little bit of that Rush. Well, it's got quite a bit of that Rush sound to it. It's a good album. I like it. The guy's voice actually he's very well. There's two vocalists. The one has a very reminiscent Geddy Lee sounding vocal to his voice too. So I guess maybe that's what attracted me to them. But most of the progressive, like I don't follow Dream Theater or Fate's Warning. I don't mind. I do have one other album I have listened to. I've never followed Queensryche, and I've known about him for years. But I don't know what it is. It just doesn't pull me in. It's kind of like jazz fusion. There's a lot of progressive rock bands have a little jazz fusion element to the music. I don't mind a little bit, but once it starts getting too jazz fusiony, I just lose interest almost immediately. It just doesn't grasp me. Maybe it'll change over time. Some genres I never liked initially, and then grew to like them quite a bit. I've been getting a little bit more into the Southern rock lately too, although I've always had a kind of inkling towards it, but I never really moved in that direction. But I've been starting to listen to all the Leonard Skinner stuff that I knew I liked from back in the early 80s and 70s, but just never got their albums, but I started to collect them. I'd like to get some of the Molly Hatchet and some of the 38 Special, and there's a few other bands that interest me too by them. Yeah, Dream Theater is not it's not a band. I do have 3 of their albums, and I've tried, but I have a couple of Queensryche albums too, but none of them really capture my attention. And there's some other there's lots of these kind of prog metal bands, because a lot of Dream Theater's success has brought a lot of these people on, but I don't really follow much of them. I do like this one band called Syrinx. Their album is pretty damn good. and it's in my playlist right now. Maybe I can bring it down if I can find it, or if I can see it. It might be out there. Nope, here it is. I think that's it, isn't it? I think that's it. Yep. Nope, that's the live Green Slate album. Yeah, I best not try to put it back up there. I'm not going to be able to be very successful with it. Is this it? Nope, I guess not. It must be out in the front room waiting its turn. Anyways, good. They're a Canadian band from Vancouver. I think they've got 3 albums now, but the most recent one I bought is quite good. You like Opeth too? I have a couple of Opeth albums, Sorceress, and the most recent one that came out last year, Last Will and Testament. They're both decent albums. I like them. But I know that they have some other albums that are progressive as well, and maybe I'll seek them out. I don't really like the growl voice. Like, I don't mind a little bit of it. I don't think I could listen to a whole album of that, of growling. But they're immensely talented, and the vocalist in that band is very good for sure. So those are the bands that, some metal I like, but I tend to like specific types of metal. It appears to me, I didn't know this, but I like the classic metal stuff like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden, but I also like the doom metal. The doom metal is probably the metal I like the most of the metal genres. I'm sure there's some other stuff that'll come to mind after a while too. Yeah, my parents were born in the 40s, so I got inundated with 1950s rock music, and I kind of like it because of that. Yeah, doom and stoner. Yeah, both of those categories I do like as well. They're pretty good. But overall, I would say probably prominently a progressive rock with maybe psychedelia, some pop, some hard rock, and metal. Those are the genres that I tend to like. But I do like some of that southern rock too. I do like a little bit of country rock for some reason. Okay, Grandizer, welcome to the show. Yeah, so yeah, pretty much prog stuff. So that's why I have 2 live streams now that I'm doing. Sunday seems to be the best day for that because I'm able to prepare them. I got lots of stuff to do and I can prepare them. So I do the morning show now, which is I did my second episode this morning, Sunday morning breakfast live, which is just everything but prog. And this is prog, and all the other stuff can go on that earlier show, so that this way I can cover both angles the way I want to. I think it's this will give me a chance to talk about stuff that ordinarily I don't get into because it's a prog channel. Like I was talking, I took these 5 albums that I thought were kind of similar in a lot of ways, came out roughly the same time, and I did a kind of survey from people at my work who were in their 20s and early 20s and mid 20s, who I figured wouldn't even know any of these bands. And I asked them, I gave them the 5 bands and I said, which of these, put these bands in the order that you are most familiar with. And it kind of surprised me. So just to give you a heads up on who the bands were, I had the Pretenders, Men at Work, the Police, the Cars, and the Dire Straits. Those are the 5 bands I gave them. And I figured that the Police would be the one that everybody knew. And surprise, surprise, the Dire Straits were at the bottom. The Police were second at the bottom of all the bands they knew. To my surprise, Men at Work was the one that they all knew the most. That surprised me very much. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing that every week. That show in the morning where we talk about everything but prog. So I'm trying to get into some other stuff. I'm going to be doing a series starting next week. It's going to go on for, it's a mini series. So it'll go on for 7 episodes. And then there's going to be 7 of these series in a row. And they'll continue on that day. I think it's going to be on the Thursday afternoon. And the first one's going to be called They Got It All Started, which is bands from, I picked out 7 different artists from the 1950s that I think are influential on the rock genre. And then I'm going to do one with the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, and 2010s. So I've been working on this for a couple of years now, actually. So I'm ready to start it. I'm going to start next week. Breakfast with the Beatles, yeah. I didn't get the idea from that, but I think I got it from a Q107 show that I used to listen to when I was a kid called, I can't remember their name, Maureen and Michael, Breakfast with Maureen and Michael or something. I can't remember the names. That's where I think I got it from. Yeah, I figured a lot of people were go off on the football at this time of year. They must be getting close to the end of the season now. Is the Super Bowl? Is the playoffs started in football yet? I don't even know. Hey Ben, welcome to the show. Yeah, so I didn't know. I figured the football season must be starting to wind its way down a bit now too. Yeah, there is one on Sirius XM. There's a Beatles show. I think it's on channel 42 that when I'm driving, sometimes I will play it. Although I don't tend to listen to the radio because the problem with the radio is they play a lot of stuff over and over and it just gets on my nerves. But the Beatles one isn't too bad because there's so many Beatles songs and I haven't heard a lot of replay. They don't just play the popular stuff. They play a lot of the obscure stuff. That's part of the reason why I like that. Yeah, the Genesis Lamb Lies Down on Broadway is kind of an outlier for Genesis, in my opinion. It doesn't really they're kind of on an arc this way, and that album is kind of outside of the arc a bit. It doesn't really sound like any of the earlier stuff or the albums that came after, but many people consider it to be their best album. Yeah, all my teams are out in the NFL. I don't really like football much. If I have a sport, it's baseball, and I do watch a lot of baseball on online and stuff too. I follow a channel on the YouTube called uh, Baseball Demos. He plays most of the Stratomatic game, which I love, and he does a very good job of it. So I usually watch his show as much as I can. I'm way behind in his season one that he's running now, but because I got so much to do. You're from New Jersey, and you're a Broncos fan. Yeah, you gotta. I guess you're not a Giants fan. Is that who's in New Jersey? The Giants. Yeah, I rooted for the Blue Jays, but I'm also a Cardinals fan, as you will see. This is my Cardinals hat. Put that on for a bit. I like the Athletics as well. But at least I used to like the Athletics. Not rooting for them too much anymore. I don't even know. I think they're finished. Yeah, I bet. Oh, you're over in Germany? Great. Some great stuff from Germany. Huge Eloy fan here. Yeah. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to cut out now too. I've got some baseball to do before I go to bed as well. But I want to thank everybody for showing up and supporting the channel this week. We'll be doing this next week on this channel. We'll be doing 1974s. We're going to skip 1973 because I'm doing the monthly series on 1973 and I don't want any conflicting stuff. We will be doing 1974. So I'll be bringing out my stack of stuff from 1974 and be talking about some progressive albums that came out in 1974. And I was going to stop at 1975, but I'm thinking that maybe I'll continue and do the 76 and 77 as well. Yeah, that's sad to hear. I think another guy died today, Bob. Oh, I'm having a hard time remembering his last name. They did a cover, they did a tribute to it on the Sea of Tranquility today. Pete Pardo did a tribute to this Bob. I was going to go watch it, but I just didn't have any time. I was too busy. Yeah, I hope I can live till I'm 98. That'd be good. Oh, Bob Weir, you're right. There it is. From the Grateful Dead. Yeah, that's right. I knew the name and I knew that he played for a band I knew. I just didn't know what the band was. I couldn't remember who it was. I remember him from and I didn't get a chance. Yeah, Bob Weir, eh? He's got to be one of the last kind of members of that band from earlier on. I was never a Grateful Dead fan, basically. They're a little too jammy for me. That's been my problem. Yeah, Bob Weir passed away. If you want to go on Sea of Tranquility, I know he did a tribute to him today. I saw it, and he usually does really good tributes. He's really good at that kind of thing. No, it's not that I didn't like the Grateful Dead. I just never really followed them. I did have a friend back when I was in my 20s, and I would go over to his house for coffee and stuff, and that's all he ever played. That was the only band he listened to was a Grateful Dead. He would not listen to any other music. That was it. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to be doing for next week. 1974, we'll be doing the progressive rock albums released in that year. I'll give you all the stuff that I normally do with the stuff I have, and then give you a list of stuff that I'd like to have as well. Yeah, I've heard they require a taste, but they're a jam band like the Allman Brothers, and I'm not a jam band kind of guy. Maybe I'll change at some point, but at this point, I'm not. I don't think I'm going to do into 79. I think I'll stop at 77. That'd give me 7 years. That's enough. Maybe we'll go back and do some of them later. I'm not going to go up to 79 with the list. I will go as far as 77. I originally was only going to go to 75, but because I cut out 73 from the list, I'm going to do 76 and 77 as well. For the morning show, the breakfast morning show next week, we're going to be doing, for those of you who like psychedelic music, we're going to be doing the Electric Prunes. I've listened to the entire box set that I bought for Christmas and gone through all of the albums that they've released. So they had 4 or 5 studio albums, 4 plus a greatest hits in the box set, as well as a live album. All pretty good, but very different. Each of the albums is quite different. Some of them more psychedelic than the others, but definitely a psychedelic band. And I'll probably do some discussions about some other psychedelic bands while we're on the show next week on Sunday morning as well. But this one, yeah, we're going to stick with just the up to 77 now. If I get there and decide that we might do another year or so, then we'll do it. But well, I hope you didn't drink any electric stuff. That stuff would give you a shock. Anyways, to everybody, cheers to you all, and thanks for showing up tonight for the show. I hope to see you all either next Sunday morning or next Sunday evening. It's a good day for me to do this kind of thing, and I look forward to continuing to do it. Anyways, yeah, I like the psychedelic. I've kind of grown into it. There's a couple of more modern psychedelic bands I like too that I'm starting to get into. Anyways, guys, I gotta let you go. Mother Nature's calling, and I have some baseball to attend to before the shut off time. So I will take what you said under advisement, though, Ben. We will consider it. And I will see you all next week. So take care. Have yourself a good evening. And bye here from the Prog Monster.